For you guys that are watching this, you can't tell exactly what just took place. That other officer just tasered the suspect and the other officer. All right? That's literally what just took place. Excellent police work already. Take note take note of how he's turning his legs right now. I don't want to stop it too much. Just remember that moment.
After five.
So, real quick, guys, two things. Let's back that up just a little bit. Notice his legs are turning, right? I actually went back and watched the full trial on this, and the officer was claiming when he was doing this leg turning situation, he had concerns that the suspect was actually trying to reach for him and reach for his gun and maneuver from underneath him. And all he needed him to do was to comply and turn over. And I, like the gentleman who was on the bottom half of that sandwich, said, how can I turn over when you have your entire weight on top of me? Which to a reasonable person would be duh. But let's back it up. Let's not even go that far, you know? Let's back it up all the way to when they step out the door. Even this, you know, they teach you de-escalation, and I'll be the first person to admit, and I understand it rather intrinsically. There are certain things as a civilian we will never understand. We'll never understand why they do certain things, why they act certain ways, just like how we don't understand why doctors and therapists conduct themselves in a professional manner certain ways. So, for instance, he was told to exit the vehicle. I, as a civilian, would think, okay, he probably wants to talk to me in the back of the car, whatever the case might be. The officer's intention was to arrest him, and this was actually said during the trial. His intentions was to actually arrest him on spot. That was it. He smelled the odor of marijuana. He also smelled. He also saw that the suspect had a large amount of money on him, and put one and two together. And from his training, the officer alluded to that chances are that may also mean weapons. Money plus drugs equals, you know. So it's time to put him in handcuffs. He also asked him to turn off the car at the same point. But as many of you watching this would see this, where was the break? There was no break. It went instantly. He stepped out the car, and keep in mind now, even the officer admitted during the trial he complied. Up until that point, he stepped out the car, he complied. And from our point of view, all we saw was an officer being very, very aggressive as the suspect stepped out the vehicle. And to that, man, I don't know. I'll go back to saying what I normally say. I don't like using situations like this where we have somebody who's most likely breaking the law. But at the same point, just because they're breaking the law doesn't mean you shouldn't have a mind to de-escalate, you know? And yes, you're putting him in handcuffs. It's probably going to go that way anyway, but you don't know. And you can't operate under assumptions, you know? A lot of the things that he claimed that he did during this encounter was in the name of safety, and he was worried about what was going to happen to his gun. And man, you got tased. In my point of view, that alone tells me you did something wrong. That's all I'm saying. All right. All right.
5 days, the trial of Euclid police officer Michael Amyot is over. The jury reached a verdict this evening centered around video that went viral after a traffic stop 5 years ago. News 5's Tracy Carlos has more on the verdict and reaction from both sides.
8 jurors deliberated inside Euclid Municipal Court today for about 4 hours before deciding the fate of Euclid police officer Michael Amyot.
Case number 19CRB 00890. Verdict.
Amyot faced 3 misdemeanor charges, 2 counts of assault and 1 count of interfering with civil rights.
We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn, do hereby find the defendant Michael Amyot guilty of assault, a misdemeanor of the first degree.
That jury found him guilty of 1 count of assault and interfering with civil rights. The jury found him not guilty on the other assault charge. Almost 5 years ago, Amyot stopped Richard Hubbard for a traffic violation. Cell phone video that made national headlines captured what happened next. Amyot testified during the trial that Hubbard resisted arrest and felt that he was reaching for his gun belt. Hubbard said he was stopped because of race.
Again, I see those videos and I say to myself, what I mostly see is somebody who's covering up. I don't understand how covering up equals reaching for a gun belt. And I watched the videos. I watched the trial videos. I've watched these side videos. I've watched them. I've watched all in my, from what I can see, I've watched them all. And it doesn't make sense to me. Again, things officers do, we will never understand. A lot of people say, well, why don't you just get off of him? Why don't you just back up? During the trial, he said, well, that's probably going to escalate things because if he did have a gun on him, giving him room will actually give him the ability to use said gun. I don't know, man. I just believe that that situation could have still went better based on how you stepped out of that, based on how you engaged with the gentleman when he stepped out of the vehicle. All right. And keep in mind now, this whole traffic stop is only over the fact that he stopped past the white line. When you get to the stoplight, you know that white line that's sitting there? He passed over and made the turn. That's why this is why this stop happened. So to go from that to this,
And that he did not fight back during the arrest. Euclid Police Chief Scott Meyer issued a statement about the ruling, saying in part, I believe it is important that the process was allowed to reach its ultimate conclusion in the court of law and not the court of public opinion. It is my hope that this decision can start to bring closure to all of the parties affected. The Fraternal Order of Police also issued a statement. Dave Trent, president of the Euclid Lodge, said, we are disappointed in the jury's guilty verdict. We remain confident that Officer Amyot's actions were reasonable given the circumstances.
And again, I don't understand that. And this is what makes me wonder, because you can't be so, you can't be too self-assured, self-righteous to think, well, you just know it all. And if I ever get that way, guys, let me know, right? But how can you watch a video like that and say that he didn't do something wrong or something didn't go wrong, period? And let's be real, when something like this is happening, who's conducting? Because if you're letting the criminal conduct, then you know where things are going to go. But from the start to the escalation to the further escalation, I believe the catalyst was the officer. Call me, say I'm wrong, put it down below, let me know where I was wrong. I'm not above being reinformed or, learning something. But at the same point, I see what I see with my own two eyes, and it's just very strange to me, and it doesn't make sense. And seeing them stand up for him even after the fact makes me feel like I'm missing something, you know?
And we continue to stand by him. Amiot will be sentenced at a later date. Hubbard filed a civil rights lawsuit against the city. Euclid settled with him for $450,000 last year. In Euclid, Tracy Carlos, News 5.
And Euclid police fired Amiot over the incident, but an arbitrator reversed that decision and gave him back his job. So we reached out to Euclid police tonight.
So again, that leads me to wonder, if they fired him, what's up with the statements? Or am I just confused here? If you fired him, I assume that was for a reason. And then another party comes in and still leaves him in place? What am I missing, guys? Please let me know in the comments, because this isn't making sense to me. And they settled. I understand sometimes you settle to just get people to go away because the lawyers will cost more to fight it than it is to just give them money, right? But still, I don't understand.
But they have not said where Amiot's job stands following tonight's conviction.
So guys, that's it for this one. I included this video. It's the same officer in an unrelated other encounter. And let me know what you think. And once again, I hate choosing less than the best examples for people not doing what they're supposed to be doing. This young lady is definitely not doing the best thing right now. Sounds like someone needs to do some extra tutelage on this one, but still, check it out. All right, this is it for me, guys. Peace. See you in the next one. Enjoy the video. Bonus video coming up. All right.
Do you have any form of identification on you?
Yeah, it's in my bag.
Okay. What would that be? Would that be a Ohio identification card?
Yes.
Okay.
How old is she?
Radio
288. Where's it at in your bag so we can
Don't
get it?
touch my bag, bro. Don't touch shit,
Bruh.
bro.
Sit down.
Excuse me.
When you get your ID. Where's your ID at?
In my bag, bro.
Okay.
You're not touching my bag.
Listen, where's your ID?
You're not touching
Can you get it out of your bag? Can
No,
you get it out of your
my
bag?
mother will get it out of my
Alright,
bag.
we're gonna take it out. So just don't move.
Bro, you cannot touch my fuck. Bro, what the fuck is you doing?
Here, just lay her. You wanna lay her down?
Yeah.
I swear to God.
On the floor. Lay down.
When you sit her up, can you tell her to calm down?
Hold on 1 second.
Never
Hold on.
bounce around. Hold on a second. We're gonna let her off.
Just making sure she don't have any weapons in here.
Blake,
We get a check. We'll stand her up. Just.
I got it. Blake, I got you.
Mom, my
Yeah.
shit in the first
Blake,
part.
just stay right
I'm
here.
telling you, where is that, man? It's in the
Blake.
front.
Blake, I got it.
Hurry,
Stop.
man.
Don't
Tell these niggas get off of me.
Blake, don't say nothing else, please.